Hello and welcome. I'm Leah Courtney, a homeschool mom and blogger at aswewalkalongtheroad.com. This episode is part of my Homeschooling Your First Year and Beyond series. So if you're new to homeschooling or fairly new to homeschooling, make sure that you find the other episodes in this series. I've been trying to give some practical advice and encouragement to moms who are new or fairly new to the homeschooling journey. So make sure that you find the tips and advice in the other episodes as well. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about homeschooling kids of multiple ages and some tips for doing that. Now, in the last episode, I talked about homeschooling kids while there were babies and toddlers in the mix. So in this episode, I am mostly focusing on kids of different school age who are all involved in homeschooling, and you're having to divide up your time among all of these different age and ability groups. And let me add a little disclaimer at the beginning, because I know that many homeschool families do not use grade levels. We didn't through most of my homeschooling. And that's fine. And so when I'm referring to different levels, you can consider that kids in different grades if you do keep up with grade levels, or you can just consider kids of different ages or ability levels. So the first tip that I would give you for homeschooling when you have kids of multiple ages is to do as many things as you can together. Now, I used a unit study, Charlotte Mason style curriculum for most of our homeschooling. And so we did some subjects together. We did history together most of the time. We did Bible together. And then we also sometimes did science together, and occasionally we did literature together where we would read the same book. I would read aloud, and then the kids would do different things based on their age and ability level. So I would encourage you to do as many subjects as you can together, because that's going to make things a lot easier for you in the long run, because you're not having to prepare all different lessons or to buy all different materials. What we would do in these together subjects is we would read the same material. Often I read aloud, especially when the kids were younger. And then the kids would do things based on their age and ability level in response to the material that we read. So we might read a history lesson, and then my older kids might be writing about it. They might be writing a paragraph about something that we read, while the younger kids were drawing a picture or dictating something to me. So we're learning the same material, but the kids are interacting with it at their own ability level. The second tip that I would give you is to start with the together things and then break up and do the independent things. Now, if you don't do anything together, you can still use this tip. I do know some homeschool moms with large families who really have liked a more structured textbook style approach. And so they're not doing any subjects together. Their kids are broken up into grade levels, and they're using their materials each day, and there's nothing that the whole family's doing together. So with that situation, I would say make sure that you have a starting time every day and then a flow to your day. It doesn't necessarily have to be a strict schedule. It can be more of a routine, but I would recommend that you keep the same structure to your day. And the reason is that your kids then will start to know what to expect and when. So if they know that when they get up in the morning, we're going to do our together stuff together first, and then we're going to split up and work on independent work, they know what to expect. Now for us, that wasn't a strict scheduled time, because we got up at different times in the morning, and sometimes breakfast would take a really long time, and so it'd be a little bit later before we got into our family time. But we always did follow the same routines, and I think that's important, whether you're starting the day with your family time together or whether kids are splitting up from the very beginning. Make sure that you stick to either a schedule or a loose routine so that kids know what to expect and when. And if you have your kids divided up for most of their subjects, This routine will let them know when you're going to be coming to work one-on-one with them, because you have this set schedule or routine, and they know how you kind of rotate through helping each one individually. The last tip that I would give, and this is one that my kids who are in college now, I have 2 in college and 2 still in high school, but my college kids have really been thankful that we did this, and that is to teach kids to work independently as soon as possible. And the reason this is important, it's important for several reasons, but one of the main ones, if you're homeschooling kids of different levels, is because you're going to not be able to split yourself and work with everyone at the same time. And if you have kids who can work independently, it's going to be a lot easier for you to rotate through, because then the kids, at least the older ones, are able to do some things independently without you while you're working with those who need more of your one-on-one help. Now, this also is important as they are older, and this is what my college kids have told me. They're very shocked that there are kids in college who have no idea how to manage their own time. They don't know how to take the syllabus and look at what's due. They don't know how to structure their time so that they can get everything done, and it's really a struggle for them. But my kids, because we've worked on this from the beginning, they are more able to do that and to work on their own. So I encourage you to keep pushing toward that independence as soon as possible. Allow kids to do the things they can do on their own. Allow them to do that as soon as possible. Encourage them to do that as soon as possible. And I know from friends who are only homeschooling 1 or 2 kids that this can be a little bit harder, because your temptation is to just work with them as long as you can, or as long as they seem to need you. And you're not as pressured to have them work independently because you don't have a lot of other kids to try to get to. But I would encourage you to work on it anyway, because being able to work independently is going to have good results in the long run for them. You can start small with maybe demonstrating one math problem in a row of math problems, watching them do 1 or 2, and then leaving them to do 1 or 2 on their own, and then you come back and check it. And then gradually it grows from that to doing whole lines of math problems on their own, and then eventually to being able to take the page and complete it entirely on their own. So I would encourage you to let your kids work independently and to work toward that independent schoolwork as quickly as possible, because that's also going to help you if you are homeschooling more than one child and you're trying to split yourself up and help each one. So those are the tips that I would give you if you are homeschooling kids of multiple ages. If you have questions about it, I would love to know them in the comments section. If you are doing this and homeschooling kids of multiple ages and have other tips, I would love to know those too, and you can leave those in the comments section. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with another episode in this series next week.